We've all been there, right? Sitting in a room with someone who can just rattle off dates, facts, and trivia like they're a walking encyclopedia. And for the longest time, society basically told us, yep, that's the gold standard. That's what it means to be smart. But, psychology actually paints a completely different and, frankly, a way more fascinating picture. True intelligence isn't just about what you've managed to cram into your brain. It actually reveals itself much earlier and much more subtly in the everyday habits and the very way you interact with the world around you. So, what's really fascinating here is how this completely dismantles that old myth of the know-it-all genius. Intelligence quietly appears in how we react, how we process information, and how we learn every single day. It's not just some static warehouse of stored knowledge. Instead, it's a dynamic, living set of behavior patterns. And if you know what to look for, you can instantly spot someone's intelligence level, not by giving them a written test, but simply by observing these daily habits in action. Here is our roadmap for this explainer. We're going to cover 6 key areas today: rethinking what makes us smart, processing input and spotting flaws, handling the unknown without panic, simplifying complexity into clear ideas, adapting to new information, and finally, the mark of true intelligence. All right, let's dive right into section 1. Rethinking what makes us smart and moving beyond the trivia genius. Notice the difference in curiosity here. When they're confronted with new information, most people will just ask questions simply to get a baseline answer and move on. They just want the basic facts. But highly intelligent minds, they operate totally differently. They naturally gravitate toward the little details that everyone else is completely ignoring. They don't just ask more questions, they ask better ones. Psychology shows us that the quality of a person's thought process is directly mirrored by the quality of their questions. They're precise, they're surgical, and they are genuinely seeking to understand the mechanics hiding right beneath the surface.
Moving right along to section 2. Processing input and spotting flaws. How the intelligent brain filters information.
There's this brilliant psychological concept called cognitive monitoring, and it explains exactly why highly intelligent people immediately notice when someone says one thing and then later contradicts it. Think of it kind of like a background app running constantly in their mind. While they're listening to a conversation, their brain isn't just passively recording the audio. It's actively scanning and comparing every new piece of information against what was said 5 minutes ago or even 5 days ago, just making sure everything actually aligns logically. And this highlights a pretty stark contrast, doesn't it? Intelligent thinkers are constantly testing reality for logical alignment rather than just passively accepting whatever they hear. Most people might hear a contradiction and either completely miss it or just brush past it because, let's be honest, it takes mental energy to flag it. But an intelligent mind literally can't help but notice the inconsistency. Because their cognitive monitoring is just so incredibly strong, they don't just hear information, they're actively testing it in real time.
Okay, section 3. Handling the unknown without panic, or the psychology of uncertainty.
Not knowing the answer is a deeply, deeply uncomfortable feeling for human beings. And because of that discomfort, most people will just rush toward quick answers, quick decisions, and premature conclusions, entirely just to alleviate the anxiety of uncertainty. But what you really need to take away from this is that reality is complex. Smart individuals know that panicking and rushing to a quick conclusion almost always leads to a really poor decision. Intelligent thinkers actually have the psychological endurance to just sit with uncertainty. They can tolerate that I don't know yet phase significantly longer, simply because they understand that waiting for clarity is always better than rushing into bad judgment. Let's look at section 4. Simplifying complexity into clear ideas, and the power of deep understanding. I absolutely love this concept because it proves that simply memorizing information just isn't enough. I mean, anyone can memorize a textbook and recite a bunch of jargon back to you, right? But mental compression is different. Psychology shows that when you truly deeply understand a concept, your brain is actually able to compress it. You can strip away all the fluff, find the core mechanics, and explain it in a way that literally anyone can understand. It's the difference between someone who uses big words to try and sound smart and someone who uses simple words because they actually are smart. Just let that quote sink in for a second. Complexity understood deeply becomes clarity. It perfectly captures why the smartest people make incredibly complex ideas feel entirely accessible to the rest of us. If someone is explaining a topic and somehow making it more confusing, they probably haven't reached that level of deep understanding themselves. True intelligence transforms the complicated right into the crystal clear. Which brings us to section 5, adapting to new information, the ego versus the evidence.
Cognitive adaptability essentially means your ego is far less attached to being right. And that allows you to seamlessly pivot when you encounter new facts. Now, this is incredibly difficult for the human brain to do. We build our identities around our beliefs, so when evidence comes along that challenges those beliefs, our immediate instinct is to fight the evidence, not change our minds. But cognitive adaptability, that is the absolute superpower of the intelligent mind.
The ultimate difference here is that while most people will fiercely protect their old identity, even when the data clearly shows they're wrong, a truly intelligent person adapts immediately. They look at the new information, verify it, and then change their behavior and their beliefs to match reality. They don't just dig their heels in to save face. This single mindset shift is exactly what separates a rigid mind from a highly adaptable, highly intelligent one. For the truly smart individual, the goal isn't to be right from the start. The goal is to end up in the right place eventually. Learning the actual truth matters fundamentally more to them than protecting their ego or their past identity.
And finally, Section 6, the mark of true intelligence, summarizing the psychological reality.
So, using a little bit of our own mental compression, here are those 5 powerful habits distilled down into one clear, actionable list for you to remember. True intelligence is asking precise questions to uncover hidden details. It's utilizing cognitive monitoring to notice contradictions and test reality. It's having the patience to sit with uncertainty without panicking. It's using mental compression to simplify complex ideas into really clear concepts. And crucially, it's possessing the cognitive adaptability to change your behavior when new information proves you wrong. This perfectly captures our entire paradigm shift today. Flexibility and a genuine willingness to learn will always outshine someone who just wants to show off random knowledge. Intelligence really isn't a destination you reach by memorizing enough facts. It's an ongoing, highly flexible process of engaging with the world around you. Before we wrap up this explainer, I want to turn this psychological lens over to you. Think about your coworkers, your friends, your family. Now that you know exactly what to look for, which of these habits is quietly revealing their true intelligence? Or, perhaps, revealing your own?